the truth is, and I'm just not up on it. But I do notice how uncomfortable non-Orthodox Jews are with Orthodox Jews who stick to their distinctive religion. They like it. It challenges them and it bothers them.
Right, absolutely. And from a spiritual standpoint, that's because their Jewish soul, their neshama, knows the truth. It knows that it also should be following the Torah and dressing Jewish and keeping Shabbos and keeping kosher. And when they see somebody that is outwardly doing those things, it makes that Jewish soul very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that's a spiritual point of view of it. But when a Jew actually goes a step further and they act out against and they try to squelch the Orthodox, as you would call them, they try to squelch us, and especially when we're speaking out like, "Hey, save the Jews," and they say, "Shut up, let the Jews go to the camps." I think that's inexcusable. You know, like last week I went off about the conservative, right?
Right.
The difference between conservative and reform, I always say it like this. I say, the reform I have more respect for, because, you know, ideologically they don't try to profess that they're following the Torah. They don't care because they think that the Torah is written by men and then you don't follow it today and whatever.
Right.
You know, whereas the conservative are like, you know, telling you a half-assed lie, because on the one hand they're saying, oh, you know, we believe in Judaism and we, you know, but they don't follow any of it because they, you know, you find a reason not to, and I have a lot of problems with that because they're pulling the wool over your eyes. But there's one thing I have to say about the conservative in their favor. No one ever died because of a conservative rabbi. Conservative rabbis never died. So reform take it to a whole new level. And I have a real problem with that. Reform take it to a whole new level because they acted so, you know, and maybe it's just one guy, right? Maybe it's just whites, but it's all of them at that time. Nobody stood up to try to help the Jews get out of... There should be a long list. There should be a long laundry list of reform leaders, reform rabbis, who helped generate money to save the Jews in the Holocaust. But instead we have the opposite. We have Stephen S. Weiss go in the opposite direction. Go ahead.
We have a request from the chat room. Rebbe, can you pray real hard and make the stock market go up, please?
Kumram, if I could, if my prayers worked like that, I would have already been married. Don't come to me looking for help. My prayers, God and me. He stopped listening to me years ago.
I've been listening to Dennis Prager's lectures on the Torah, and he makes the point that when people say Jews, people don't yawn. Like somebody says, you know, something about the Jews, those around them, they go, that's not, like, Jews bother the world.
Oh, yeah.
And Orthodox Jews really bother the world because they're the most Jewish of the Jews. So just like Jews bother the world, Orthodox Jews bother the non-Orthodox Jews.
Right, but I would not say that Orthodox Jews, I hate that word Orthodox, by the way, I would not say that Torah, like from Jews, that Torah observant Jews bother the rest of the world. Because we've seen this. For instance, like the enemies in the Middle East. I've seen this. They embrace Neturei Karta. You know, if dressed like me, you'll see Jews getting along great with the Arabs. Same Arabs have a huge problem with the state of Israel. They have, I think, by and large, history has shown that when a Jew is proudly walks as a Jew, dresses like a Jew, follows the Torah, the Goyim, the non-Jews, have less problems with that person.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. And you can take it out of the Jewish angle. When you encounter people who are authentic, it's a lot easier to like them, respect them, deal with them, or know where to put them, like, you know, which box to put them in. It's easier to deal with someone who's authentic when you know who they are, where they're coming from, what they're about, what their standards are, what their practices are. When you meet an authentic evangelical Christian, meet an authentic Muslim, an authentic right-wing conservative, or like when you know that someone's authentic, there's a real power to that. And when one leads an Orthodox Jewish life, a traditional Jewish life, it's very authentic. People know how to relate, they know where you're coming from, what your practices are, and it's easier to deal with someone who's wishy-washy. Someone like Reform and conservative Judaism are compromises on the tradition. So once you're dealing with someone who's living a compromise, it's harder to... they're not as authentic to who they really are. And so it creates more cognitive dissonance when you're dealing with them. It's like, well, you're a Jew and you're out there marching for gay rights and transsexual rights and peace now and animal rights, and it's like it's cognitive dissonance.
Right. Absolutely.
And another thing that's interesting is that for a lot of liberal Jews, one of their greatest forms of religious joy is the opportunity to daven with black Christians. Like they love to, join with blacks and like pray together and celebrate together and, go to black churches and join and like they feel very close to blacks. Now, Orthodox Jews, generally speaking, don't feel very close to blacks because the way a traditional Jewish life is led, it does not bring you close to Puerto Ricans, blacks, and frankly anyone who's not in your traditional way of life. So we have pure illusions about blacks and Jews are just like this. Doesn't mean we hate black people. I mean, it's absurd, but we don't immediately see a black person and go, oh, you're a black person, we're united in our struggle for civil rights, and did you know that Jews were really active in civil rights, and we just love you black people.
Yeah.
Like we don't love you black people. Individually, we may love some of you and hate some of you, but we're not like dying to just like embrace you and pray with you and be one with you. We understand that you have your tradition and your ways and your religions and your practices, and we have ours, and we're primarily about fulfilling our own traditional way of life, and we don't have these illusions that, oh, blacks and Jews were just joined like this in the civil rights struggle, and now it's gays.
Oh yeah, you're hitting it. There's three things I wanted to comment on that you said. I'll do this last couple ones first. Was I've seen this thing with African Americans, with liberal Jews, it just like slobber over African Americans, and I don't get it. Yeah. I never get it. It just doesn't, and it soothes their souls when they voted for a black guy for president. Yeah. They think they did the biggest mitzvah ever. Yeah. Like this is Tikkun Olam. We just voted for a black guy. Wow, look at us, and they're all having like huge orgasms, and I'm going like, I don't get it. Right? What about the fact that a lot of his agenda goes against Jewish principles? I mean, isn't that more important than the color of his skin? No. But I think
liberal Jews.
Liberal Jews, I think, are extremely racist, and their racism is they're like self-hating white people. Yeah. They hate the fact that they're white, and they love the fact that if they see someone who's black, they like they love them. They want to marry them, and they just think that these are the greatest people. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not saying I have anything against black people. Yeah. Right. But like I don't judge them or whatever based on their skin color, whereas some Jews.
All of the different standards. Like if blacks go out and steal, well, that's because they're historically oppressed.
It's racism.
Which is reverse racism.
It's racism.
Yeah, it's racism.
And then they make up this thing called white privilege, which is it's a big bullshit.
Yeah, you've had such a privileged life, Rabbi.
Oh God, white privilege. Yeah, show me to my money. White privilege. Okay, there's I would agree that there's a thing called poor people. It's a class thing. Rich people versus poor people. But please don't make it white versus black. Yeah. It's not. You're not any more privileged because you're white. If you're some poor guy, living in Arkansas or whatever, like,
or in LA.
Or in LA like me,
You haven't had anything handed to you.
No.
Except abuse.
Exactly. So that's all big bullshit. And then another one I heard is there's not racism when it's reversed. There's no racism against white power. Because the oppressed people can't have racism against the oppressor. Can you show me the white people who are oppressing the black people in this country? Because I haven't found them in my lifetime. I've been here for 50 years. I've never seen a white guy oppress a black guy. I haven't seen it. You want to see oppression? Go to like a country like, Afghanistan or, like in the Middle East. Go to one of these countries and we can start talking about oppression. and what it's like to be oppressed. There's nobody in America who's oppressed, and you can quote me on that. So
I
that's
like that.
there's